My name is Sean Botterill. I am the president for Centennial Little League, and kind of just spearheading a little bit in this division for this opportunity for kids. And the purpose of this online session is for me to give a little bit of a presentation on what's happening in the juniors and seniors with the AAA Provincial division, which is new, so that everybody can make decisions as they register either with us or with their associations, as I'll lay out here in a minute. And just providing that information for parents because it is new. Okay. The first note that I'm going to put in front so that everybody's fully aware, this is a new program and it is a competitive travel team opportunity. This is a program that you need to opt into during the registration process, and you have to earn your spot based upon merit. Just because you want to play doesn't mean you're going to make it. So this is a little bit different than everybody plays. This is a very different opportunity, kind of catering to the athlete who wants to play the competitive side of things. And so I'm going to go over a few things in this call. I do, it may be best to hold questions to the end with so many people. There is a section at the end where I'll answer any questions you've got. And before I talk about what's on the screen here, part of this opportunity is it's fairly new and we're still working out some logistics. I'm going to tell you what I know and what we believe is going to happen. There may be changes along the way and they'll get communicated when they happen. But the spirit of everything is going to be in line with what we talk about here today. So we're going to cover a little bit on why Little League Alberta is doing this. What is this AAA division? When are the most important dates and who's eligible for these divisions? Those are the four main ones. And then some other ones is, what's the process for this? What are the costs? Because they are different. And how are these teams going to be formed, which is important because we're one association sort of spearheading this for others. And I want to talk about that. So why is Little League Alberta doing this? So first off, we have the blessing of Little League International, Little League Canada with respect for this project, which I think is fantastic. We've often looked at this at the board level of these associations and above we lose all these kids to other programs because of a perceived lack of competitiveness. And I do say perceived. I don't think there's a big difference between a lot of those other options that are out there and what Little League offers. Kids leave for various different reasons. And we want to try to keep them here in an environment maybe that's closer and one that they're comfortable with. And we thought, and we do think that we can provide that option as an alternative, but at a considerably lower cost than what you're seeing some of these other programs that are out there. And so we'll cover that off when we go through this. Okay. So as I talked about earlier, it is a competitive travel team. Okay. In the junior, where your eligibility is between 12 and 14 years old, and seniors 13 and 16 years old. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And that's based upon the Little League age chart, which we're all fairly comfortable with. This is the main route to the Little League World Series. So these teams will have the ability to opt into the international travel tournament path to get to the World Series in those age groups. And that's the conversation that'll happen on these teams as they're chosen. As I mentioned before, this is a project. It's approved by Little League Canada and International. It is getting watched quite closely. This is a departure from what Little League has done in the past. And they really want to see how this affects and whether we can keep more kids under the umbrella in Little League for longer. And so it's really important. This will be a province-wide division. What that means is there is going to be travel. Travel is not optional, it is a requirement. There are some thoughts around travel that I'll talk about, so everybody understands the kind of commitment and thought process on it. And some guidelines they're going to follow for scheduling, but we'll go over that in a little bit. This is set up for either districts or associations can create teams for this division. Okay. Within Little League Alberta, in Alberta, there are some districts who are creating the teams. And in our case, in District 3, we've held up our hand that we would offer teams. There may be other associations who do it. They weren't prepared at this time. District 3 has a very unique situation compared to other districts in Little League Alberta. We have 10 associations, and trying to get everybody to pull oars in a very short amount of time was going to be a bigger challenge than we could manage for this year. So this may look different next year for the 2023 season, but for this season, we've held up our hand as ones who are willing to ensure this opportunity is available for kids. And that means that we've also said that associations that aren't going to form teams, if their kids are interested, they can participate with us in the team selection process. And we'll talk about that in a minute. At the moment, both these divisions will play tournament rules on a 90-foot diamond. There is still some discussion going on with respect to the 80-foot diamond with respect to juniors. It's going back and forth. And Bill, have you heard anything different from that? You're muted. Bill is our district administrator for District 3, for anybody who doesn't know.
At this point in time, no, everything, all international tournament play is on a 90-foot diamond in both junior and senior divisions. So at this point in time, I'm guessing that District 3 is one of the only districts that still maintains an 80-foot diamond.
Okay.
So 90 would be the
okay.
norm.
Gotcha. So for that reason, it is why specifically in the junior age group that while 12-year-olds are able to try out and play in this, it's going to be on a pretty special case. That's a big jump from a 60-foot to a 90-foot diamond, and that extra year can make a difference. And so, so while a 12-year-old may be eligible, it may not be the best choice, and you know, we can talk about those individual cases offline. Okay. So this division is planning on approximately a 28 game schedule, depending upon the number of teams, etc. The guidelines are going to follow is if travels within about 2.5 hours, you'll play a doubleheader on a single day and come home. So you might go to Lethbridge, play 2 games on a Saturday, come home, play 2 home games on Sunday. Okay. Most of the games will be scheduled weekend wise. If the travel is greater than 2.5 hours, you're going to play 4 games in 2 days, 2 double headers is kind of it. So try to maximize the travel and schedulability with respect to things. Juniors will allow a maximum of 14 players on a team, and seniors will allow a maximum of 16 players on a team. This needs to get said because I don't want to take phone calls, you know, 4 weeks into the season that someone's child is not playing as much as the others. Your playing time is earned and at the coach's discretion. There are minimum playing time guidelines in the Little League rulebook, and they differ depending upon the number of kids on a team. And, you know, we will be working with coaches to suggest a model to ensure that everybody's playing, but you earn your playing time on this. This is not everybody plays equally. The coach has that discretion, and it just needs to be upfront so everybody's aware. Okay, so when are the important dates? So this part of the conversation splits into a little bit of what Centennial does and then other associations. And so just bear with me on that. In Centennial, our registration runs from December 1st to March 10th. You can register today. Some already have. Please, I consider you to do it. Other associations will open at different times, okay? And that's important to know. When it comes to evaluations, we urge and strongly request that you still evaluate within your districts, sorry, not your districts, your associations teams. The reason for that is if you do not make this team, you need to be assigned to a team within that group, okay? And so we strongly recommend it. For Centennial's case, our evaluations will be March 11th, 12th, and 13th. Okay, before spring break. And then these AAA evaluations will happen on April 6th. We'll start sending information out on the 15th to both Centennial related players who are interested in non-Centennial players interested in that around the 15th of February. I'm going to say this more than once. If you don't evaluate, there's no chance of you being selected. No exceptions. If you're not there, we can't tell who you are, how you are, etc. We're giving ample time for this. We only have 1 slot for this. Everybody's going to have to make it work. And you know, we don't have the flexibility for that. Okay. Team selection will occur no later than April 10th. I actually think it'll probably be done by about the 7th. But I like to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. There is a preseason icebreaker tournament probably happening in late April in Lethbridge. So, there'll be some planning around that, going to a tournament down there. Some teams you can opt in, opt out, etc. The regular season is going to run from May 7th to August 7th. So this is a much longer season, and it is a team put together for a longer period of time. There will be some breaks in that schedule for tournaments, other games, etc., that they're going to put through that. This is also, as I mentioned, the pathway to the international tournament of the World Series, and the dates there are on the screen. Okay. Those teams, you have to do that route. There's some paperwork we have to do at the front. It'll be a team choice to do. You'll have to participate and win the Alberta Championships to move on to the Canadians, to move on to the World Series. Okay. And the dates are there, and the schedules will accommodate that clearly. Playoffs for these age groups right now are tentatively set for the August 21st weekend. And like I said, everything is sort of there, and that's what we're working towards. There may be some slight changes with respect to that. Okay. Who is eligible? Juniors, it's 12 years to 14 years based upon the Little League age chart. Seniors is 13 to 16. Once again, the asterisk on the 12-year-olds specifically. Also an asterisk on 13-year-olds playing seniors. You're going to have to be pretty special to be considered to play seniors as a 13-year-old. Just to be blunt, I don't want to give anybody false hope. Just to be very clear, there's a big difference between a lot of 13-year-olds and a lot of 16-year-olds, and so you're going to have to be pretty special. Players who are within District 3, which is essentially north of the river in Calgary, and includes Airdrie and Cochrane and Chestermere and Langdon and all of those wonderful places, whose home association is not putting together teams. There may be certain associations who don't think they're putting together a team now, but they're going to find that they have a lot more interest than they think, and they may put together a team. So this will work out. And also, as I said, evaluations are going to be a must attend. If you don't attend, you can't be considered. Don't know how good you are versus other players, etc. Okay. So what is the process? So the process is essentially, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen here, is that you're going to register with your home association. So for Centennial parents, you're going to register as if you're going to play in juniors or seniors regularly, and you're going to pay that fee. Okay. You're going to get a slot in the regular evaluations, and then you'll also get a slot in the AAA evaluations. For those of you outside of Centennial, you do not have to, and I do not want you to register with us for your regular season to start. You will register with your home association, make sure they are aware you are interested, and that they contact me. Everybody has my contact information. And if they send it to me, we'll make sure you're on the list for the AAA evaluation. So you will still evaluate in your own association, and then also the AAA. After that, evaluations teams will be selected. If you are not selected for that team, you'll be sent back to your home associations for your regular season in juniors or seniors. Okay. If you are selected for that team, you will be notified and you will be invoiced for the additional fees. In the case of players who are not from Centennial, your home association is going to forward us your original registration fees to ensure that you can we cover the full amount. This team is going to cost more than a regular season, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Okay. So that is the process. So register with your home associations, indicate your interest, and we'll move forward from there. Okay. So what are the costs? Well, due to the longer season, it's going to cost more because there's higher operational costs with it. So essentially our logic is we're going to capture the spring dues and the traditional summer all-star dues as part of it, and that covers a good chunk of it. There are definitely some additional umpiring costs. They are more expensive this age, so we need to make sure we capture that. Also, because there's no guarantee that this will just be Centennial kids, we will ensure this team gets their own jerseys. We will purchase those, and those kids, the kids will get to keep them at the end of the season. And so that is part of the fee. Because of the possibility of tournaments, built into that fee is a little bit of team gear, like a jacket, hat, t-shirt, some other stuff that we're evaluating. We are evaluating a coaching honorarium with respect to this. We are beginning the process of looking for those who are interested in coaching at these teams. if there isn't, and we have been instructed from Little League Alberta that, looking at this to compete with some of the other programs that are out there is not a terrible idea. It is a very big departure philosophically from where we have existed up to this date. And so that is a conversation going on at Centennial's board level, and even with district and conversations about it. It will not be a huge amount. It's not like a full-time paid coaching gig, but it may help offset costs. That means we are looking at coaches, not just the traditional dads who always step up and coach. We are looking at others as well too as a possibility. Okay, just to be fully upfront with respect to that. Anybody for that coaching will have to pass our safety checks, etc. We will be looking at different coaching certifications, etc. All of that is our evaluation as we interview and look at coaches for this program. I can guarantee that this cost for this, whatever the number ends up to be, will be finalized before anybody steps into the facility for the evaluations on April 6th. So everybody's fully aware. I'm hoping to have it done before February 15th when we send stuff out, so we can tell people how much it is, and then they can go, I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, and let us know. So that is our goal. There's some moving things going on there and evaluating and making sure we capture everything. These teams need to be self-sufficient and cover their costs fully. And so that's our great goal. For anybody who's going to consider using kids sport as a funding mechanism, I have talked with them. And so just to cover that off, so everybody's aware, if you have some financial difficulties, you can secure some funding from Kids Sport. Kids Sport will provide up to $300 per kid per year for their athletic sports. If you do this and you register for your regular season with your home association and apply for Kids Sport, they'll put money towards that. If you make this travel team, we can go back and still go back to Kids Sport. I've had a conversation with them and capture the remaining part of that 300 available between what your spring dues are and this. So we have the ability to supplement that from a Kids Sport basis. If you can't, how do I say this? If you can't be considered for Kids Sport, or you need some additional financial help, there are some other avenues we can do, and I would ask you to contact me personally offline, and we can have that conversation. We still want to believe in the mantra that everybody can play in Little League. There is zero way to assist you with travel costs, though. That'll be your responsibility, but there may be some mechanisms where we can help with respect to registration fees, if there is. At this moment, we're going to commit to those fees will not be greater than $750. I am currently in our budget looking at it somewhere in the $600 to $650 range, to be very blunt and direct. That does not include any of the travel expenses, etc. And we're evaluating. I can tell you other associations are looking as high as $850. South Calgary is what they're looking on there. We're going to try to keep it reasonable, but for comparison, for those who haven't looked, Cal Ripken Babe Ruth is $1,500 to $2,000. Some Little League Alberta programs are $3,000 plus. So, we find this is quite reasonable. Okay. How will teams be formed? I know this question is going to come up because, the main questions would be, how do we know you're not going to favor Centennial kids? And for those of you who don't know me very well, I believe in fairness in the process and keeping it this. We're holding our hands up and committing to this because we want to make sure kids have access to this extra programming. That requires us to make sure that this process is fair for everybody, Centennial kids and non-Centennial kids. So I'm not speaking from a Centennial perspective solely with respect to this, and it's really important for the integrity of the program to do that. So accordingly, because of that, I'm going to be bringing in, or we're going to be bringing in a third party to do the evaluation scoring as part of the evaluations. We will probably run it with volunteers on, running the kids through the drills and getting them evaluated. But I am bringing in, or we are going to bring in a third party to do that, who's not associated with directly, as part of any of the associations in our district. Okay, that'll ensure that the scoring process is even. The teams are going to be selected from a draft or selection process using the evaluation scores with the coaches. If there's any other associations board members want to participate to ensure that this is on the up and up and we're not being sneaky, I welcome them. It's going to be at my home, in my kitchen, my dining room table, and it'll be very low key, but it'll get done, and it'll get done fairly, and the coaches are choosing the players they want based upon the scorings that's provided. Okay. So everybody will get a fair shot. I'm actually hopeful that in juniors that we get enough kids for 2 teams. I think that's a possibility. I'd love to see that. It would be 2 equal teams. I think in seniors, I think we're probably looking at 1. I would love to be surprised and see 2. I really would. And so, based upon the number of kids and the quality of play at the evaluations, those decisions on number of teams will be made. Prior to the AAA evaluations, you will be either just before or at the evaluations. We haven't worked it out yet. We're going to get asked your players to tell us what positions they like to play. You're going to get evaluated, and coaches want that information. They don't want to pick a roster that has no pitchers or no catchers. That's a big problem for a season. We're also going to ask you with respect to a potential jersey number choices and jersey sizing. I'm going to work to have jerseys, samples of them at the evaluations for kids to try on to choose, because we need to order those rather quickly. You probably won't have them for your first set of games or first couple sets of games. And we'll supply one from Centennial that you can use in the interim, but we want to get these ordered for this. Whether you're interested in the national championships and the World Series tournament commitment path, I would kind of assume that everybody would be. It falls within the parameters of the schedule, but we are going to ask, and coaches will want to know that if this is a team that wants to go that route. It's important to make that, because there's some paperwork and a bunch of stuff we have to do quite early on with respect to make sure that team is eligible for that and going through that. And then I'm going to go get with the coaches and find out if there's any additional information that they want to do. And so that's it. So this team is going to represent, basically all of North Calgary. And as part of this selection process, I'm just going to be very blunt. Kids' character and past behavior needs to be considered. I will not, as sort of heading this up, I will not tolerate kids who think they can act like jackasses, pardon the language. That just won't be accepted. And if that's the way it's going to be, the kid will be removed from the team. I'll give your money back. We don't need kids like that. These kids are representing everybody, and they need to represent everybody properly. That means proper behavior. That means treating umpires with respect. That means treating opponents with respect. I won't tolerate taunting, crap like that. It's not going to happen. If I hear it, you get a warning. If it happens after the warning, you're gone. I won't put up with it. And so I say this only because I don't anticipate problems, but if I don't say it, there'll be a problem. So clearly out there with parents that this is not something that will be tolerated. So if your player is not mature enough to handle acting like an appropriate human being, this probably isn't the proper place for you to be. So anyways, I wanted to put that out there. So that's kind of the information that I have in a nutshell. Like I said, some of it is a moving line where things are getting adjusted as we talk through things and work through things, because it is a new program. We wanted to put all that information on people's, in their lap while they make these decisions on whether they want to entertain it, think about it, or indicate their desire to participate in it. So everybody's heard me talk now for 28 minutes, and I'm sure that's enough. Does anybody have any questions? Because I'm here to answer all of them.
Sean, Bill here.
Yes, Bill.
I just, the provincial championship dates, the games will be played in Sylvan Lake at the new Sylvan Lake Gulls Stadium for both the junior and the senior. So
Okay.
that everybody's aware of that.
Okay, so for the August 21st weekend.
Yes.
Okay, so there we go. You're going to be playing the new Gulls Stadium. If that's not enough to make everybody excited about it, I don't know what else to do.
Hey, Sean,
Anyone
what
else?
credentials are going to be needed for certification for the coaches?
So so that's a good question. It's an interesting one. We have not in the past required that from any of our coaching. So we'll take anything. So if you have NCCP levels,
yeah,
you have stuff like that. Us in Centennial, understanding what I'm about to say may change a little bit in the future, because I know, and Billy, you can back me up on this, Little League Canada is working on a program for coaching and coaching certification type stuff that's going to be introduced at some point within, I think, the next 12 months-ish. But we're going to, this year, strongly recommend our coaches look at the USA baseball certifications and take them. It's an online course. It's free. I've taken them. And so if I can take them, they're, as Brad will now laugh, they're not hard, but there's actually a lot of really great information in them. And they're online and they're free. And you can literally get, A, B, and C certification done in a weekend. They're not that hard, and there's really good information. So, those would be a really good start. If you have any NCCP, if you've gone to any coaching clinics recently and can provide that information, that would also be beneficial. We will have to have your police information checks current and up to date. That's a, and you have to get your respect and sport leader. Those are two that you're going to have.
All over again?
Your police information checks are valid for 3 years, and your respect and sport leaders, if you've taken it, we consider that fine. So, tell us all that you have, and give us everything that you have. For coaching, you do need to apply through our registration system and put in a registration. And then I also ask that if you're interested in coaching this AAA team, you send an email to our Vice President, Brian Sadler, at vp@cllbaseball.ca, just to indicate your awareness so we can start that process of looking at it. I don't know when we'll announce coaches. I'm hoping before the evaluations, but we'll see. We're just starting that process of thinking about what to do there. So, to be very honest.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If at any point in time, after mulling this over and thinking about it and looking at it, you have any other questions, I am easily reachable by email, and I generally respond quickly, definitely within 24 hours. So please reach out to me at president@cllbaseball.ca. I will gladly answer any questions with respect to this. If like I said, anybody has any questions or comments or concerns or whatever, they can definitely let me know. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording.